At times, humans face enormous challenges. The challenge of transporting cargo that weighs tons. The way humans go about the problem and the way they solve it varies depending on the person. Sometimes humans are forced to do unbelievably hard tasks, but sometimes muscles are enough to do the job. In this video, we will introduce interesting ways humans have found to transport super heavy objects, including enormous ships, asteroids, and even an entire building. Please sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Let's get started. A gigantic iron asteroid. In the year 1818, a Scottish sailor, John Ross, found an intriguing tribe of the Inuit in Greenland. They were using arrowheads and knives made of iron, but they did not have the technology to melt and mold iron. They were simply cutting out their iron tools from an iron mountain called the Saviksoah. However, it was a few decades later, at the end of the 19th century, that scientists were able to find this iron mountain. The truth behind this was that the Iron Mountain was actually a meteorite, weighing more than 58 tons, that fell to Greenland thousands of years ago. The meteorite was named Cape York. Two other meteorites, a little smaller than Cape York, were found near it. It was decided that these meteorites are to be transported to the United States, where scientists can conduct further research. But how in the world would they transport it? The United States spent tremendous amounts of money on the transportation work. They were even forced to create something like a railway and lay rails for the transport. We will make it clear that in Greenland, in the past and even till today, there were and are no railroads. The rails that were laid down by the Americans with great effort were only used once to transport Cape York. What a large-scale project! Today, the meteorite is displayed in the United States Museum of Natural History. The base the meteorite was on had to be secured onto a rock in the basement of the museum and not the floors. Otherwise, the floors would not be able to withstand the tremendous weight of the meteorite. Hotel Montgomery. San Jose in California isn't just the center city of the Silicon Valley. It is also a town that was successful in moving an entire 5-star hotel. Hotel Montgomery was said to be the most beautiful and most prestigious hotel in San Jose and was one of the sightseeing spots of the city. However, sadly, the building started to gradually deteriorate in the 1980s. A plan to tear down the hotel and to construct a new hotel was discussed, but the local authorities, as well as the residents of the town, were against the idea. As a result, it was decided to move the hotel 57 meters south to open up land and to keep the landmark in a more perfect state. During the moving process, the hotel was lifted above ground to insert a few transportation trucks under the building. It cost $8,500,000 to move the hotel, weighing 4,800 tons. Gem Theatre. Moving of buildings has been done more often than you imagine. For example, using almost the exact same process as moving the Hotel Montgomery to a new place mentioned earlier, in 2013, the Azerbaijan government successfully moved their sightseeing landmark, the Hajinsky House, that was originally built in 1908. These examples, almost all of them, were moves of a few meters and nothing more. However, the city of Detroit succeeded in moving a building weighing tons for 500 meters, something humanity has never done before. The Gem Theatre in Detroit was built in 1927. This theatre shared the lobby with the Century Theatre, which was built about 4.5 centuries before the Gem Theatre, and was frequently showing shows for adults. Both theatres were closed down in 1978. The remodelling of the theatre started in 1990, and the theatre was back up and running a year later. But a problem came up. The city was planning to construct a stadium called Comerica Park in that area where the theatre was. This is how the historical entertainment facility ended up being moved. Moving of both the theatres was truly a challenge, and it is recorded in the Guinness World Records as the longest distance for transporting a building. It is unbelievable that the new address for the theatre, 333 Madison Avenue, is 500 meters away from its original place of construction. Power generator that traveled half of Europe. What would you all do if you had to immediately send a power generator weighing 173 tons for a thermal power plant from Frankfurt in Germany to Yerevan of Armenia? Of course, one could take apart the power generator, place them on a few cargo freights, and send it. But would you be able to rebuild it once it arrives? The train would take too much time, and so will a ship. Plus, since Armenia does not have any large bodies of water on its borders, a need to negotiate with Georgia or Russia would arise. Thankfully, the Antonov AN-225 Maria airplane became the savior for the Germans and the Americans involved. The name Maria means dream in Ukrainian, and it was built in Kiev in the 1980s. Maria is still the largest jet plane, for lifting purposes, in aviation history. Maria and its transportation of the power plant and its outer frame became a large event in history. With the structures to cover up the power plant, the cargo's total weight was over 187 tons. They had to open up an entire shipping terminal at the arriving airport for the cargo freight. This is recorded in the Guinness World Records as the world's largest single cargo to be transported by air. Thunderstone. The former capital of Russia, St. Petersburg, is famous for its many landmarks and is a popular destination among the tourists, but we will focus on one of them today. The Bronze Horseman, the statue of Peter the Great, the founder of St. Petersburg. The base of this bronze horseman is called the Thunderstone, and this stone is the largest rock in the world to be transported by human hands. The rock weighed 2,000 tons before any processing. The difficulty of the transportation of this rock can be understood better if we tell you that this project took place between 1969 and 1770. Of course, there was nothing close to what we have now in regards to complicated technology to lighten the load on the engineers and labourers. First, they drove in a pile foundation around the rock. Then, they carefully got rid of the dirt and cleaned the rock, while lightening up the rock a little bit. Afterwards, the jack's complicated system was used to lift the rock, was transported to Neva Bay by roads specifically constructed for this transportation, and then was brought to the city in a ship built for this purpose only. In other words, this project was an incredibly difficult task, even today, and it would have been even more so in the 18th century. A ferry that sank. In 2014, the Sewol, a passenger ship, sank in the offshores of South Korea. This was a very sensational accident in South Korea. Pulling up the ship was discussed immediately after the accident, but it was not until 2017, 3 years later, that the plan was moved into action. Those that came up with the plan to pull up the ship did not think that the process and work would be as difficult as it turned out. The main reason that made pulling up this ship difficult was the fact that the ferry collapsed on its side and sank sideways. Plus, with the water and seabed's mud, the ferry's weight was increased to 17,000 tons. Therefore, in order to clear this seemingly endless mission, people were forced to give the maximum effort. The Sewol was pulled up by using a hydraulic jack that was planted onto a cargo ship specific for this project. With the 5 tugboats that were attached to the Sewol, it was transported to the Mokpo Pier and was moved onto the land from there. A total of about 400 people were working on this project, and the cost totaled up to $90 million. This pull-up project is the largest scale pull-up in history. This will be the end of our video today. Thank you all for watching, everyone. We hope you liked and enjoyed the video. If you enjoyed the video, please like our video and share it on social media. Let's see each other again in the next video. See you!